Is liking today's treat hashtag normal and good?
Find out next on Junk Feud.
Aw, yeah! Welcome to Junk Feud, the podcast about junk food, where we rate and review mystery treats to determine which one will be the undisputed champion of snacks. I'm your host, Mike. Alongside me, as always, Alyssa.
Hey.
Hey.
Dad.
Yeah, bud.
What's one room in a ghost's house that they don't have?
What is one room in a ghost's house that they don't have?
Yeah.
I don't know.
A living room.
Oh. All right, yeah. Oh, that was a dad joke, a joke you tell to your dad. If you'd like to submit a dad joke for Alyssa to tell me on the show, you can send it in to us via Twitter at JunkFeudPod or via email to junkfeudpod@gmail.com. Liz.
Yes, sir.
What's going on, bud? How was your day?
It was really fun.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What'd you do today?
I had school.
Mm-hmm.
Not fun. And then I had soccer, and today I played keeper in goal.
Oh, that's fun.
And I found out that I can punt the ball half the field.
Half of the field.
Yeah.
Wow, good for you.
Yeah.
Why did you say that school wasn't fun today?
School wasn't fun every other day.
That's very disappointing to hear.
Yeah.
Don't you get to bring a snack to school?
We don't have snack in school anymore.
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. You're big and in middle school now?
Yeah, get it right.
If you were still going to bring a snack to school, what would you bring with you?
Maybe like chips.
Maybe like chips.
Yeah.
Like what kind of chips?
Either like Doritos
Of course.
or like Lay's.
You have to tell me, is this true? Because I've heard this. This is a thing that I've seen on the internet. Do middle school kids, before first period classes, eat like 2 bags of hot Cheetos and drink an entire full sugar Coca-Cola? Is that a thing that happens in school?
No.
Okay, good. I just wanted to be sure. Hey, welcome back, everyone.
Ooh, one thing to say.
Yeah.
Instead of Coca-Cola and
Hot Cheetos.
Instead, one of our science teachers, she gives us Jolly Ranchers.
Well, that's pretty nice. Do you have to answer a question correctly to get a Jolly Rancher?
Mm-hmm. And you get to pick which one you want.
Oh, did you ever get any Jolly Ranchers?
I've gone 3.
Wow, what was the question? What was one of the questions that you answered?
Oh, no. It was like, no, it's not for answering questions. It's more of like,
Participating? Doing well in class?
yeah, like doing good in class.
Oh, well, that's good. Hey, and we're doing good on this show. Welcome back once again to the world's yeetest podcast.
Yes.
Yes, that's right. See, you're coming around to it.
It's growing on
It's
me.
growing on all of us. And listen, this show is growing on people. I can't believe this. I got some feedback on the analytics for our program here. We are, if you can believe this, in the top 80 food podcasts in the entire world. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
We have a listener from Algeria.
What is Algeria?
It's a country. Shout out to our listener in Algeria, whoever you might be.
Yes.
Yeah, and hey, spooky season continues here on Junk
Booed.
Junk Booed.
That's such a fun word.
It is fun. Our last show was fun too, our pumpkin spice latte show. That was a big hit. I had more fun doing that than I reasonably expected because I did not think that I was going to like that drink. And it turns out it was just like liquid candy. So it was pretty good.
And who doesn't like liquid candy?
I know. And I'm starting to come around onto the pumpkin spice trend. I know I'm like 20 years-ish too late on that.
Same.
Yeah, but that's okay. I've never really been cutting edge on anything. I'm not really an early adopter. I did have some of those Goldfish and Dunkin' Donuts pumpkin spice goldfish graham cracker collabs. Those were pretty good.
They're really good. They taste like tiny ginger snaps.
Yeah, they do. They were way better than I expected. So anyway, I think I'm over my pumpkin spice aversion list, finally.
What is that?
An aversion?
Yeah.
An aversion to something is when you avoid it or don't like it.
Oh,
So
I've been avoiding that. I was avoiding that episode for weeks.
Yeah, you avoided that episode for weeks, and then it turned out to be really good.
I asked for another one the other day.
Hey, you remember what Daniel Tiger said, right?
Try new foods because it might taste
You gotta try new foods because it
might taste
good.
good.
That's right. I remember that from when you were very small.
Good.
That actually worked, and we got you to eat lots of good food because Daniel Tiger, a small tiger who doesn't wear pants but does wear sneakers and a jacket, tried out those foods.
We would all used to cuddle in my parents' bed, and we would just watch Daniel Tiger together.
That's right.
And then at the table, when we were eating and I didn't want to try something, my dad would go, "What does Daniel Tiger say?" And then I would get mad at him and then I would eat it.
Yeah, and it worked because you have to try new foods because they might taste good. And speaking of that, Liz, we've been trying some new foods. What have you been snacking on? We've tried some new stuff recently.
What?
Well, we tried a bunch of those Oreo confections that friend of the show, Amir, brought back from his European jaunt.
Oh, yes. Shout out to Amir. Those are really good.
We'll talk about some of those when we get to the Oreo rule. We also tried some Korean honey butter chips that I picked up from the green market.
Those were gross.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, no way. I thought those were pretty good.
No.
Yeah, like candied potato chips. I'm all about that.
No, they just tasted like butter on chips.
Well, I thought they were pretty good. And you know what else I think is pretty good, Liz?
What?
This week's snack.
Ugh.
And I know that I'm in the minority here, but we're going to walk through it.
You are probably 1% of the population that likes this food.
Well, I'm happy to be in the 1%. That's the only thing I'm in the 1% in, probably. Up next on Junk Feud, Liz.
What?
It's candy corn. It's corn.
A big lump of knobs. It has the juice.
It's candy corn. Liz, what do you know about candy corn?
That it is not my favorite.
Uh-huh. And you didn't need to look at the notes to say that.
It has 3 different colors.
Yeah, it sure does. And you know what? I mean, it's fairly obvious. We all know what candy corn is.
Yeah, unless you're just living in your own world.
Yeah, it's candy that's shaped like a kernel of corn, and it's meant to invoke the colors of the fall harvests, yellow and orange and white. And like so many other treats that we talk about on this show, much of its appeal currently is rooted in nostalgia. And for candy corn, a lot of that is because of the basic recipe that it has that's been mostly unchanged for like 100 years.
Dad, you know what we should do one day?
What's that, bud?
Like a day in September or October, we should try to make like one big corn out of them.
One big corn, like a whole corn cob?
Yeah, and just start like with a rod, like a foam rod, and just like glue them on row by row.
Yeah, well, we could probably try that. And in fact, later on, we're going to talk about somebody who's done something very similar, which I saw it on YouTube, but I think it was originally on TikTok.
Probably.
Liz, do you think there's any actual corn in candy corn?
No.
No? Yeah. No real corn, unless you count corn syrup. Do you count corn syrup in candy corn?
Probably not.
No. Well, we can talk a little bit about the history of candy corn. Just like so many of the other treats we discuss on this show, it's got a long and interesting history. In this case, candy corn was probably invented around 1888 by a guy named George Renninger. Do you know George Renninger?
No.
No, I don't either. But he's the guy that gets the credit for inventing candy corn. He worked for the Wonderly Candy Company in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Of course it happened in Pennsylvania.
Of course. This is a quintessentially Pennsyltucky type of thing, I think.
Oh, what?
Ask Uncle B about that.
No, I just want you to tell me.
You want to? Okay, so this was invented in Philadelphia, which is in the eastern part of the state, a large metropolitan area. In the western part of the state is Pittsburgh, another fairly large metropolitan area.
I thought that was like 6 hours away.
Yeah, it is. Pennsylvania is a large state.
Oh.
But in the middle, there's lots of open space and lots of farmland and a big interstate highway that runs right through it. And that sort of no man's land in the middle is known for being a little bit old-fashioned, I guess is a nice way to say it. And so instead of being a northeastern state, it sort of replicates some of the things that you might find in some southern states like Kentucky. So the middle of Pennsylvania, many parts of it, is called, not very nicely, Pennsyltucky.
Pennsyltucky.
Yeah, it was kind of a joke, and now we've explained the joke, which means it's not funny anymore if it ever was to begin with.
Yeah, sorry if we ruined it for you.
Well, I think the people that are living there are doing just fine on their own without us making fun of them.
Yeah, but we're still going to make fun of you.
Yeah, well, you're going to make fun of me, of course. That's like half of what you do on this program.
Yeah, especially how old you are.
Excuse me, I am not that old. I'm certainly not as old as candy corn, and I'm not as old George Renninger, who worked for the Wonderly Candy Company, who later sold the recipe for candy corn to the Goelitz Company, which is now Jelly Belly. You know Jelly Belly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they make jelly beans. That was around 1898. And even though Goelitz continues, or I guess I should say Jelly Belly, continues to make candy corn, the candy corn you get in stores today is probably coming from a company called Brock's. They make about 7 billion pieces of candy corn every year. That's 85% of the total market. And that's actually down, Liz, from previous highs of about 9 billion pieces of candy corn.
Whoa.
Yeah, who's eating all this candy corn?
People that are in that 1% like you.
That's right. Probably me and like maybe one or two other people.
So what's 8 billion divided by like...
1?
Yeah.
It's still 8 billion. Hey, Liz, do you know what else was going on in the world in 1888?
No.
No? Well,
Yeah.
There were some interesting things that we don't have a lot of context for because this is long enough ago that it's well outside of our realm of understanding and relevance. But
Yeah.
there was a great blizzard in 1888. About 400 people died in that blizzard.
Ooh.
The poem Casey at the Bat was published. Have you ever heard of Casey at the Bat?
No.
No? Mighty Casey has struck out? Nothing?
No clue.
Wow. I remember reading that in school and like crying at the end when Casey struck out. I was so disappointed. Yeah, it was awful. The Whitechapel murders occurred. That kicked off a global fascination with somebody called Jack the Ripper. Do you know who Jack the Ripper is?
Isn't he like a murderer?
Yeah, he sure was a murderer.
Wait, he was real?
He was a real person.
Oh, I
Probably.
thought that was a myth.
There's a little bit of mythologizing to it now, but Jack the Ripper was probably a real person who was definitely getting down to some real murder in 1888.
I thought that was like a lot soon.
A lot more recently, you mean?
Yeah, maybe like 1999.
Oh, you thought that Jack the Ripper was out and about just doing some killing in 1999?
Yeah.
Yikes. Well, I'm glad that he wasn't. George Eastman patented his film roll camera and started a company called Kodak.
Kodak.
Have you ever heard of Kodak?
No.
You know what the Washington Monument is, right? In Washington, D.C.?
Yeah.
Well, that was open to the public in 1888. Benjamin Harrison was elected president of the United States. Vincent van Gogh cut off his own ear.
Van Gogh.
Vincent van Gogh cut off his own ear. Do you know who he is?
I know who Van Gogh is.
Who's Van Gogh?
Was he an artist?
He sure was an artist.
Why'd he cut his ear off?
Well, there were a few different reasons, but my favorite fact about Vincent van Gogh cutting off his own ear was that he then painted a self-portrait of himself missing an ear, which inspired one of my favorite works of art of all time, which was a parody of Vincent van Gogh's self-portrait in National Lampoon magazine, where he was wearing Mickey Mouse ears, but one of the ears was missing.
Oh.
It's so good.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, why would they cut his ear off?
I think the story that I heard when I was a kid was that he was madly in love with a woman and he cut his ear off and he mailed it to her as a token of his affection. But I don't think that actually was true. I think he was suffering from some mental illness.
Imagine getting an ear in your mailbox.
Yeah, that probably wouldn't go over too well today, would it?
I would call the police.
Yeah, that's probably the right response to that.
How would that even happen? How can you even do that?
Well, listen,
I cried when I got my earlobe pierced.
There are depths to genius, Alyssa, I guess is the way to describe that.
Genius, he cut his own ear off.
He was a heck of a painter, though.
Okay, let's move on.
2 more things. The ballpoint pen was invented, and Katz's Delicatessen, which we have eaten at many times and is delicious, was founded in New York City.
What's that?
Katz's, the deli, where we get the giant pastrami sandwiches. You put the little paper hat on when we were there last time.
Oh,
They give you
yes.
pickles to put on your table.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Katz's, 1888.
That was good.
Liz.
Yeah.
We're talking about candy corn today, but why would someone make candy that looks like corn?
Because of the It's Corn Kid.
Well, yeah, Tariq the It's Corn Kid, not alive in 1888. However,
His ancestors.
yeah, probably lots of his ancestors were around.
It's corn.
You going to do this the whole time?
Yeah. You shouldn't have chosen me for this podcast. It's corn. Okay.
Well, a lot of people were probably yelling, "It's corn" in 1888 because around half of the working population in the United States was involved in agriculture in some way. So it made sense to have a candy that was mimicking corn. It was a thing that everybody was familiar with, that they were around all the time. And in fact, the original marketing materials for candy corn called it chicken feed. It wasn't even called candy corn. It was called chicken feed candy. And there was a tagline attached to it that said, "Something worth crowing for." How about that?
Something worth crying for.
Yeah, because like a rooster crows and chicken feed is like corn that goes on the ground. So kids were eating sort of like a buttercream candy styled piece of corn like a chicken would.
Why wouldn't they just eat regular corn?
Well, I guess you could, but it's not as sweet as candy, is it?
Sugar.
Sugar, that's right. Corn was then and is still today a big deal in the United States. It's the world's most important grain, according to Statista.com, which is judging by total production. The United States is responsible for 1/3 of the global total of corn production. That's a lot of corn.
Corn, 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 corn. It's corn.
Oh my goodness. It's a big part of the history of agriculture in the country. Some people think it's going to be a big part of the future, too. Did you ever see the Christopher Nolan movie Interstellar?
No.
No,
I don't
Matthew
think so.
McConaughey goes to space, travels through time via relativity, that kind of thing.
I don't like space.
Oh, well, there was this movie called Interstellar, and on the planet Earth in the future, corn was the only crop that people could grow. All food sources came from it. In fact, for the production of the movie, Christopher Nolan planted 500 acres of corn because he didn't want to have computer-generated cornfields. That's pretty wild.
Computer-generated corn.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Candy corn was originally a penny candy that was eaten all year round. It was, in fact, advertised by Brock's Candy Company in 1957 as a summertime candy. But later in that decade, it started to become associated with Halloween because trick-or-treating became more popular. Do you know why trick-or-treating might have become very popular in the 1950s? There were a couple of things that were going on.
I actually don't know.
Okay, so in the 1940s, there was this thing called World War II.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and in the 1950s, everybody that was still alive came back from the war, and they sort of settled in, and wartime sugar rationing had ended. During the war, you couldn't use sugar for your own individual consumption. It all went to the war effort. But when the war was over, people had sugar again, and candy was back in production again. And so kids started trick-or-treating en masse, and people were giving away candy corn as Halloween candy because it was so cheap and plentifully available. Readily available, I should say. Plentiful. Cheap and plentiful.
At our school,
Yeah?
the World Through Words teacher.
The what?
The World Through Words teacher.
Okay. Is that like language arts, probably?
No.
No. What is it?
It's just you work on like spelling or something like that.
Oh, I see. Sure.
Reading and stuff like that.
Okay.
But basically, she quit.
Oh, no.
So there's this sub, and all she does is talks about how she survived World War II and how many cats she has.
You're, so let's see.
Wait, how old would that be then?
That would make her like 80-ish years old on the low end.
Yeah.
Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. You should probably listen to her. She probably has some really interesting things to say. So how do you think candy corn is made, Liz?
Candy corn. Maybe like sugar. So, you know, those like scrapey, like how they make like the lip balms.
I don't know how lip balm is made, no.
Well, it's basically a bunch of like this like sheet of like wax, and you roll it with one of those like ice cream roller things.
Okay.
And it just all turns into this stuff, and they just mold it together.
Interesting. Well, originally, candy corn was made by mixing together 3 separate colored mixtures, the white and orange and yellow colored mixtures of sugar, and then pouring them into heated molds. And in fact, there were people who their only job in the factory, oh, you got a defective one there, don't you?
There's only 2.
It's missing the white part. Well, that's a lot less common now that these processes are automated for manufacturing. But originally there were like men who would hold these big kettles full of hot candy, and they would run backwards through the factory, pouring the different colors into the molds. And this was really interesting because people had never really seen anything like this before. No one had seen like a tri-colored candy because it was so difficult to manually manufacture. Now, there are still some nuances to production and manufacturing, but there are mechanical processes that make candy corn fairly simple to make now. But in fact, it's actually pretty simple to make by hand. Alton Brown has a nice recipe that you can make online, and we could make our own candy corn, I think, if we wanted to.
We should.
We probably should. Do you know what candy corn is supposed to taste like? Because most people just say the flavor of candy corn is candy corn.
I don't know what it's supposed to taste like.
What's it taste like to you?
It tastes almost like frosting.
Yeah, it does. That's a really good analogy. It does taste kind of like frosting. The flavor of candy corn is supposed to be, according to the manufacturers, honey, sugar, butter, and vanilla. And that's really, really evident when you open up a bag and you smell this stuff. It tastes like when you're mixing together butter and sugar. Like if you're creaming butter and sugar together to make a cookie recipe.
And you lick the spoon.
Yeah, that's
exactly
right.
What it tastes like.
That's what it tastes like. And it has the addition of honey in there and a little bit of vanilla for flavoring. Now, you asked me this earlier. The 3 different colors, are they flavored? Do they taste different?
Yeah.
You think that they do?
No.
No. Yes or no? Which one? Which one of them
No,
is it?
I was just responding to your question like you asked.
So do you think that they are different flavors, the 3 colors?
In my opinion, they taste the same.
Yeah, they all taste the same because they're just colors. That's all they are. And in fact, that's part of the reason that candy corn is so polarizing, Liz.
What does polarizing mean?
What do you think polarizing means?
I don't know. I just think of Polaroid camera.
You think of like Polaroid camera? Well, polarizing is like two poles, like the North and South Pole, for example. Mm-hmm. Things that are on opposite ends of the spectrum that could be very, very far apart. And in fact, there are people that like candy corn, and there are many, many people that violently detest candy corn.
Like me.
Like you, that's right. In fact, it has been called, in print nonetheless, Satan's earwax.
Yes.
That's pretty insulting, isn't it? That was from thetakeout.com. There are a lot of things that people don't like about candy corn. The first, like we said, is that it all kind of tastes the same. It's just 100% sugar.
The thing I don't like about it is when it just when you eat it, it's like a hard shell and then the inside is just like a weird texture.
Yeah, a lot of people really dislike the sort of waxy texture.
That's what I was going to say. It's almost like a soap.
Yeah, and it's got that hard, shiny coating on the outside.
Yeah.
There's a comedian, his name is Louis Black. You know him because he was Anger in Inside Out, the Pixar movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said that candy corn is so hard and so gross that every year all of the uneaten candy corn, of those like 7 to 9 billion kernels of candy corn that are produced every year, all the stuff that doesn't get eaten is just collected, put into bags, and resold the next year. He was joking, of course, but he said all of the candy corn that has ever been made in the entire world was made in 1911, and we're just recycling it continuously to this day.
I could believe that.
Yeah, so I think it's between the weird texture, the sort of waxiness and the hard, shiny exterior coating, and this sort of uniformly sugary flavor. It gives people this thing called palate fatigue. Everything is the same. Every bite is the same. Every kernel of candy corn is exactly the same. We've talked about heterogeneity on the show before. There is no heterogeneity to candy corn. It's very homogeneous.
We talked about that?
Yeah, we did. Remember?
No.
Okay. Well, we did. I remember. You know what, though?
What?
I think overall people just think that they're supposed to hate candy corn because it's like a goofy child's candy from the 1800s. And there's this weird cultural zeitgeist around being edgy and hating things that are simple just for the sake of disliking them.
Someone in my grade does that.
Yeah. Yeah, there are a lot of very small edgelords out there. But there is a strong cultural movement around disliking candy corn. In fact, a website called candystore.com does customer rankings, and for a few years in a row now, candy corn has been rated the worst Halloween candy of all. For a couple of years, it was trading the title of number one back and forth with Circus Peanuts candy, which are almost universally reviled.
Oh.
Yeah, well, guess what? I like those too. We'll try them on the show.
No.
Yeah, that's right.
Though I had to try those because my Grammy loves them.
Grammy loves Circus Peanuts.
They're disgusting.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow, that's very interesting.
She likes them.
Yeah. And you've tried them?
She just has like a bag of them.
Well, candystore.com says that they're the worst. And you know what they say the best Halloween candy is?
What?
We're going to save that for next week.
No.
Yeah.
Can you tell me after the show?
Well, maybe I'll think about it. Hey, while we're thinking about that.
What?
There are lots of different ways to eat candy corn.
Really?
Yeah, what do you think some of the ways are?
Tossing it all in.
Yeah, just like grabbing a big handful and shoving it all in. That's what I did when I was little. I would grab as many pieces as I could and just jam them right in there. Most people just pick up a whole piece and eat it, one piece at a time. But some people eat candy corn color by color from the 3 colors that are there.
That's what I was just doing.
Yeah.
But they all taste the same.
Do you think more people start at the very narrow white end or at the sort of fat yellow end?
I start from the white end because it's easier to hold.
Yeah, well, you'd be in the majority there. Of people that eat color by color, 90% of them eat from the white end first, and just 10% eat the yellow end first.
Who eats the yellow?
Sometimes I do that. You know what my favorite way to eat them is?
Wait.
I'm going to show you right now. I like to take 2 pieces of candy corn just like this, and then I shove them up onto my fangs like this, so it looks like I'm a candy corn vampire. Look.
How do you do that?
Just kind of jam them on there. Yeah, that's pretty good. You know what? Despite the hatred, like the real vehement hatred for this candy, it's still fairly popular. There are like 13% of people that say it's their favorite Halloween candy.
No.
Yeah, so that's a little bit more than the 1% that you claimed earlier.
Really?
Yeah, and in fact, a few years ago, there was a moment where Twitter had a trending hashtag, which was hashtag liking candy corn is normal and good.
I would disagree.
You don't think that it's normal and good to like candy corn?
Yeah.
Well, I think that it's entirely normal and good to like candy corn, and I like candy corn, and I think that I'm normal and good, mostly.
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 They mostly eat candy corn at night, mostly.
Mostly.
You don't know what that's from either, do you?
No clue.
There are a lot of different varieties of candy corn. Most of these are themed around different types of seasons or holidays. So in the fall, we get the regular candy corn, but we also get this stuff called harvest corn. Have you ever seen that?
No.
So it sort of mimics like the darker Indian corn kernels, and that's by the addition of cocoa powder. So some of them have a little bit of a chocolatey taste. Around Valentine's Day, we get Cupid corn. That's red and pink. On the 4th of July, we get Freedom corn. What colors do you think that is?
Red, white, and blue.
Red, white, and blue. That's right. There's Easter corn in pastels. There is Christmas corn, which is red and green, which is also called, what do you think?
I don't know.
Reindeer corn. How about that? And then there are different flavored varieties like caramel apple candy corn, birthday cake candy corn, s'mores candy corn, which I tried and was kind of just okay, unfortunately. And then, of course, the ubiquitous pumpkin spice candy corn.
Of course.
Yeah, as expected. And we didn't get our hands on any of these when they were out, but there was a candy corn flavored Oreo cookie-less.
Ew.
Yeah, there's also candy corn soda. There was some candy corn beer that was brewed in Wisconsin. Candy corn flavored Pez, Nerds, M&Ms. Last year, Brock's produced a turkey dinner pack of candy cornless. What do you think was in that?
Turkey, gravy, stuffing, cranberry sauce.
Yeah, good job. Way to read the notes.
Way to read the notes.
This year, there was a new candy corn pack from Brock's. It was called the Tailgate Pack. It had hot dog and hamburger flavored candy corn in it. Yeah, that was the general sentiment.
Ribs? I forgot the ribs.
I don't think there were any ribs in the Tailgate Pack. That would be like a fancy tailgate, like a high-class tailgate where you have smoked ribs.
How are we fancy?
We're not fancy, and we don't bring ribs to tailgates.
We did at the Rutgers game.
Oh, well, I wasn't there for that. So now who's fancy? That was you.
Me, I'm fancy.
Yeah, Fancy Peck, that's you.
Yep.
Well, the reviews have not been kind to the Brock's hot dog and hamburger flavored candy corn. I could not find a single person that tried that online that said that they liked it. It was universally reviled.
That must suck.
Yeah, awful. You know what? Even though people seem to dislike candy corn, it hasn't stopped the marketing machine behind these little white and orange and yellow treats. Because every year on October 30th, do you know what day that is, Liz?
National Candy Corn
National
Day.
Candy Corn Day. And you know what we might make for National Candy Corn Day this year?
What?
You talked about it a little bit earlier where you said we should make a whole cob of corn out of candy corn.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there is a recipe you can find online for candy corn on the cob. You make an edible sugar cookie dough and then you mold it into like a log, and that's like the cob. And then you stud the outside of it with candy corn so that it looks like it's real corn on the cob. So you would be eating like a whole mouthful of corn on the cob plus a whole mouthful of edible sugar cookie dough.
Ooh.
That is super, super sweet.
That
Even I don't
sounds-
think I could eat that.
I could eat it. But to be honest, I don't like candy that much.
Yeah, I think that would be one of those sort of like meme things that we would suffer through because it looked good.
Yeah, like the honey in the bottle, and you squeeze it out, and it comes out as a long tube of frozen honey.
Ew, that sounds gross.
I tried it, and it's really gross.
You're the one that froze my honey? Unbelievable. Well, that's not my favorite thing that you've said today. But you know what is my favorite part of this show?
Alyssa reads the ingredients.
Alyssa reads the ingredients. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Go ahead, kiddo.
Okay. Sugar, corn syrup, confectioner's glaze,
Very good.
salt, dextrose, gelatin, sesame oil, artificial flavor, honey, yellow 6, yellow 5, red 3.
Very good. Great job. There's a few things that I want to point out here. The first is that these are the ingredients for Brock's candy corn. And of all of the candy corns that are manufactured, I think this one is the best. And I think people that like it will agree with me because Brock's is the one that has actual real honey in the ingredients.
Surprisingly, that's not a lot of ingredients.
Yeah, it's not a lot, and it's all sugar for the most part. Sugar is sugar, corn syrup is sugar, confectioner's glaze is, well, we'll talk about that in a moment. There's salt, dextrose is sugar, gelatin is an additive, sesame oil is in there for, a number of different reasons. And then the artificial flavors include probably vanillin. And then there's honey, which is sugar, and the food coloring. So it's mostly sugar with some other stuff to stick it all together. But the honey is the key there. People online that like candy corn like it because Brock's is the one with the honey in it. If Corn Kid was here, he would say, it's got the honey.
It's got the honey.
Yeah, there you go. But here's a reason Well, two reasons really that some people don't like candy corn. It's because of two ingredients in there. One is gelatin. You know what gelatin is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like stuff that's in Jell-O. That's right. Do you know what it really is? What it's made from?
My friend told me about this.
Yeah. What did she tell you? What did he tell you?
Steamed bones.
Okay. What did? That's good. What did Dean Bones tell you? Because it's spooky season. That's what we call him.
I actually told him that at school today. I said,
that's pretty good.
I'm gonna call you Dean Bones for spooky season.
So, what is gelatin? What's
bones
it made
of
from?
Animals.
Yeah, gelatin. It's a thickening agent. It's made by boiling skins and bones of animals. So candy corn is not vegan, if you were wondering. There's also another thing in it that's kind of controversial, Liz. It's called confectioner's glaze. You read it out there, the third ingredient. Do you know what confectioner's glaze is?
Can I read it?
Well, yeah, you know what? I'd like you to read it because I want to see your reaction when you read this.
It's a waxy, waterproof coating that's derived from
secretions, dear.
Secretions of the lac bug.
Yeah.
A parasitic tropical insect.
Yeah, so that hard, shiny coating on the outside is a byproduct of secretions of a female lac bug. It's got bug juice on it.
It's got the bug juice.
It's actually, it sounds a lot more crazy than it is. It's not really too far out there. It's a natural resin. It's used in all different sorts of products. It's in chewing gums and candy and pharmaceuticals and cosmetics. When you go to the supermarket and you see really shiny apples,
Ew!
That's a natural shellac on the outside.
Ew.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was.
Yeah, it's confectioner's glaze. That's the same stuff that's used to coat those Jelly Belly jelly beans who, Liz, get this, in honor of the Gullitz Company, which originally manufactured candy corn after it bought the recipe from the Wonderly Candy Company. Jelly Belly made a candy corn flavored jelly bean.
Of course I did.
How's that to get it back full circle?
I don't know.
You know what, though? It's actually coincidental and kind of serendipitous that candy corn is in that way a perfect spooky treat because it's got bugs and skin and bones in it. All gross, spooky things.
This is another reason why I don't like candy corn.
Well,
because I've heard of this before.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And guess what?
What?
We're going to eat some more right now. Are you ready for the competition?
Yeah.
Then let's get to the rules of the game, Liz.
The more I see you writing this stuff down about bugs, skin, and bones just makes me gross.
Junk Feud is a culinary clash to see which treat will be crowned the undisputed champion of snacks. It's a King of the Mountain style battle in which the reigning champ takes on a new challenger each week to see which snack reigns supreme. Liz.
What?
Who is the reigning, defending, undis-BOO-ted champion of snacks?
Count Chocula.
No, incorrect.
Then why does it say that?
Because I didn't expect pumpkin spice latte to win, and I wrote the notes before we recorded that episode.
Okay,
so,
let's
what is the? Can you introduce the reigning, defending, undisputed champion of snacks? It is
pumpkin spice latte.
The pumpkin spice latte. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I didn't expect to like the PSL, and here we tried it, and we liked it. I like it as coffee.
I like it as coffee.
Well, it's got a tough road to hoe ahead of it here because today we're going to try Brock's candy corn, the only one with the honey.
Ugh.
And guess what?
What?
We've got a run-in. We are also going to try a perennial Halloween favorite, Brock's mellowcreme pumpkins. Liz, you see these little candy pumpkins we have on the table here?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're, so here's the interesting thing about them. They're exactly the same as candy corn. It is the same candy, it's just in a different shape. But
really? The
different shape gives them a softer but somehow denser mouthfeel than the regular candy corn. They still taste mostly the same. They're mellow creams, which are just...
I feel like the pumpkins, they're like softer.
Yeah, they're definitely softer. And I think it's, it's in part because of the way that shape and texture affect flavor. That's going to be a big question later this season, but some of this is a function of the surface area to volume ratio, which is called the square cube law. Did you know that?
Nope.
Yeah, when an object, a three-dimensional object, has a proportional increase in size, the new surface area, so like the stuff on the outside, is proportional to the square of the multiplier, and the new volume's proportional to the cube of the multiplier. So the stuff on the inside grows faster than the area on the outside, and that changes the way that you experience the flavor of certain things. Yeah, these mellow cream pumpkins were like my absolute favorite when I was a little kid. Do you know why?
Why?
You know this because Grandma tells you all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it made me feel like I was a giant. When we would be at the dinner table and my younger brothers would be eating broccoli, Matt, your Uncle Matt, he would pick up a broccoli floret and he would take a bite and he would say, I'm a giant and I eat trees. And that's what eating these mellow cream pumpkins makes me feel like.
Really?
Yeah, I had this Disney picture book and it had Willie the Giant from Mickey and the Beanstalk in it. And he was eating these pumpkins by the handful. He was like scooping up all this food off his table. There was a big cornucopia of stuff. And the pumpkins looked like they were like just this size in his hand when I picked them up to eat them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Are you ready?
Yeah. Are we doing pumpkins or candy corn first?
We're doing both. Because...
At the same time?
Well, let's do candy corn first.
Okay.
And before we do that, we have to say, it's...
Crunch time!
Crunch time! We rate our snacks using a tier list from sprinkles to fun dip, so snacks can be graded A, B, C, D, or F. The very best treats earn the elusive S tier ranking. So, the following contest is scheduled for one serving and is for the undisputed championship of junk food.
Junk food.
Let's try this candy corn. What do you think about it?
I'm gonna save my non-white one.
Oh yeah, you have the special one there that doesn't have the white tip on it. So immediately, the look of these things is iconic and nostalgic. They look and feel like fall and Halloween.
Yeah.
It's undeniable. Candy corn is an icon.
When
They
I
smell...
it reminds me of like the sugar cookie.
Yeah, they
frosting.
smell like butter and sugar. I mean, that's fairly good, I think.
Oh, are we eating it?
Yeah, go ahead. Dig in. They just taste like straight up sugar. This is spiking my blood sugar immediately. And you are making a face. You're making a face that looks like you are not enjoying yourself right now.
Yeah.
I'm having the time of my life. I love these things. I could eat them all day.
It like glues my mouth together.
Yeah, they are waxy.
You can taste the little grains of sugar.
Yeah, the sugar is not completely dissolved, but it is still fairly smooth and uniform. You know what's interesting about these?
Huh.
Nowhere in the ingredients list for Brock's candy corn did you see wax. But in the Golitz, the Jelly Belly candy corn, they actually do use wax in the product. So you're eating wax when you eat that one.
Ew.
Yeah, but not in these. So I think those are pretty good. Let's try the mellow cream pumpkins.
I'm gonna bite it in half.
Okay, that's a good idea. Oh, so you bit it in half and it's fairly uniform through there. There's a little bit of the green food coloring from the stem that is sort of blended in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Liz, I love these things.
These are much better than regular candy corn, in my opinion, at least.
I know you don't like them, but I think they're fantastic.
I wouldn't say fantastic, but, whatever. Come on, Dad.
Yeah, I think they're really good. So what do you think? Where are we going to rank these? From sprinkles to fun dip, a legitimate assessment of this candy.
Maybe a C-.
C-. Okay, so slightly below average.
Yeah.
I think that's generous for somebody like you who claimed coming into this that you do not like these at all.
I still don't. They haven't grown on me at all.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's to be expected. This is not for everybody. They're not terribly complex. It's all sugar. It's one note. Oh, you're giving me your defective one. How kind of you.
Yeah.
That you've like dug your fingernails into. Gross. I'll eat it anyway. I don't care. These are so good.
Ew.
Yeah, I think candy corn is for me, candy corn is a B- and mellow cream pumpkins are a B. What do you think about that? And you said C- overall for both of them?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. So let's hit the bliss point and talk about our final thoughts on this week's treat and how it stacks up against the undis-BOO-ted champ pumpkin spice latte.
Undis-BOO-ted champion.
What do you think? Does the champ retain, or do we have a new title holder?
The champ remains.
The champ remains? You mean retains?
Retain.
I guess it's technically both, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So candy corn, mellow cream pumpkins, my beloveds.
Ugh.
Valiant effort, but not enough to knock off the PSL in this spooky season.
PSL pumpkin spice latte.
Now that means your champion, and still your champion, pumpkin spice latte. Pumpkin spice latte. That was a good competition, though. I'm impressed by that. Hey, guess what?
What?
It's time for the Oreo rule list.
Yeah.
We finally found Brookie Oreos.
Brookie Oreos.
Thank goodness. And you liked them, right?
Yeah, I liked them a lot, actually.
Yeah, I thought they were just okay.
I thought they were pretty good.
Yeah, they're not. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to turn down an Oreo, probably of any kind. The triple stack of cream is a little bit too much for me. The Brookie Oreo is the regular Oreo cookies, and then inside there is brownie flavored cream, regular Oreo classic white cream, and then a cookie dough layer of cream on the bottom, which is kind of interesting, but the flavors sort of get lost when they're all mixed together like that, I think.
Yeah.
So it was good. I don't think good enough to knock off any champion, and certainly not good enough to insert itself into the competition.
No way.
You know what else we did get, though?
What?
We got all that Oreo stuff that Amir brought back for us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
which
only got
ones?
through one pack.
Which ones did we try? Well, we tried 3 different things so far.
We tried the white and robed Oreos.
White and robed Oreos, that's right. You can get those here stateside in the wintertime. They're made up to look like an Oreo that had a snow covering on them. And those are good. It's got a white fudge on the outside with a classic Oreo cookie on the inside. Very good.
We got, we tried the like chocolate with the Oreo.
Yeah, there was a Milka bar. There were 3 different varieties of Milka bars that he brought back. We tried one of them so far. And it's a chocolate bar, a milk chocolate bar. And in every piece of milk chocolate, there is a mini Oreo completely embedded in the milk chocolate. Those were interesting. I like those a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
My favorite were just the tiny Oreos.
Yeah, we got these little bags of, I think they were called Oreo Crunchers or Crunchies or Crispies. Crunchies? Something like that.
Yeah.
They were sort of like the mini Oreos that you can get in those small packages, but they were even smaller than that. It was like if you had mini Oreos of the Oreo Thins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like those a lot. They were good. You and your friends ate the entire bag in probably less than a minute, if I had to guess.
My brother's friends.
Yeah, so they were good. We liked them all. Big shout out to Amir, and thanks for giving us all that stuff.
Next time you go, bring some more back.
And we have to ask, Alyssa.
Yeah.
An important question that we ask every week.
Yeah.
Will it deep fry?
Yes.
Do you think
Yes.
possibly that you could deep fry candy corn?
Yes.
You think yes?
Well, you probably can. It just probably wouldn't be good.
Yeah, well, I think you're right on both counts. So surprisingly, yes, you can deep fry candy corn. In 2014, there was this food blog called Oh Bite It, which is a good name. And what they did was they rolled some kernels of corn in some dough, like a sort of like a donut or pastry dough, and then they deep fried it. And they said it was pretty gross, which I think is to be expected.
Yeah.
We also saw a viral tweet from a few years ago where a guy topped a pizza, like a bake-at-home pizza, with an entire bag of candy corn. And that kind of blew up and went viral for a little while because of how grossed out everyone was by it. And I saw today a YouTube video where a home cook called Emmy Maid tried to recreate that with a DiGiorno pizza. And she did, and she said it was gross. Would you eat a pizza with candy corn on top of it? No, I wouldn't either. You know what I would do, though?
What?
I would check out the back of the box.
Yeah.
And it's time for a weekly segment where we play a little game. Liz, would you like to play a game?
I would love to play a game.
This week we're bringing back a favorite from the first episode, Alyssa Explains It All. On Alyssa Explains It All, I ask Alyssa about an item of youth culture that I and old don't understand. This week, Liz.
What?
A term that I'm not familiar with, but you said that you are.
Yeah.
What is bussin'? Because I don't know. Do you want me to tell you what I think it is?
Yeah, you go first.
Yeah. So I'm looking at this word here, bussin', and it looks like...
Wait, just say it.
Bussin'.
Now say it twice.
Bussin'.
Okay, now move on.
Okay, thank you. So, yeah, I don't get it, but when I'm looking at this word, it looks like you're like a shortened version of bussing, which is like either... So I used to be a busboy. That was one of my first jobs. So you're either cleaning up tables, which I don't think this is, or you're taking the bus somewhere. Like you're riding around. Like, hey, what are you doing this weekend? Oh, I'm going to the mall. How do you get in there? I'm bussing.
No?
No? That's not it?
No. Bussin' is a term used for when a snack is really, really good.
When a snack is really, really good, you say it's bussin'?
Yeah.
Like it's riding on the bus to Flavortown?
No.
Well, yeah, that's like thematically appropriate for our show, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, guess what?
What?
We're bussing on out of here because we're going to close this show out. Hey, this podcast should reach you in excellent condition, satisfaction guaranteed, or your money back. If you've got a question for us, you can write to the address on the label. That's junkfeudpod@gmail.com. Liz?
Yeah.
Any final words before we get out of here?
Yes. Actually, I'm good.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh!
Hey, yeah?
Make sure to listen to the song out on Spotify. It's corn.
It's corn. It's got the juice.
When I tried it with butter, everything changed.
And everything's going to change for you when you listen to this show. This podcast has contained your recommended daily allowance of fun.
Fun.
For more, go to Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, or wherever you choose to be social. Find us at Junk Feud Pod. You can stream with us on Twitch, watch fun-sized snack reviews on YouTube, buy merch on TeePublic, and fund us on Patreon at Junk Feud Pod for exclusive bites. Catch all the snaction each and every week wherever you listen to podcasts. Until we see you again, for Alyssa, I'm Mike.
Hasta lasagna.
Don't get any on ya.
Bye. Boo.